The Maidan cases. These cases are divided into those that are in pre-trial investigation, those that are being heard by the courts, and those that with verdict have already been rendered. There are 89 criminal proceedings, amongst the 1,973 victims and 91 deaths being investigated. There are 193 suspects in these cases. 77 are still on the wanted list. 30 cases are being heard in different courts. 9 verdicts have already been rendered, but only one person who received a verdict is serving his sentence in prison. 13 people are behind bars awaiting their verdict, with 35 investigators from the Prosecutor General's office working on these cases. We've chosen 12 most important cases out of 89, all events from Kiev's Maidan. Case 1. 86 victims in this case, 15 people suspected, and all of them are wanted. The then President Yanukovych, NSDC Secretary Kluyev, his deputy, Minister of Internal Affairs and leadership of Kiev Police, all accused of abusing power. There are also 5 Berkut officers, including Andrei Didyuk, who continues working for the new Kiev Police. Case 2. Between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m, protesters were dispersed, with more than 80 victims in this case. Yanukovych, Saharchenko and the leadership of the Kiev and Kharkiv Berkut battalions are wanted and under suspicion. Case 3. There are 36 victims in this case. Cases against commanders from one of the companies and the Kiev Berkut battalion were referred to the court. Yanukovych, Zakharchenko, Kuzyuk, Kolyak and Fedchuk are still wanted. Case 4. Cases of false information on voting against ex-MPs were referred to the court. Deputy head of the Verkhovna Rada, Kalednik, and another 12 MPs are wanted. Case 5. 2 victims and 3 convicted in this case. Aziv Tagrov, member of the Oplot, sentenced to 3 years in prison. He is the only person who is now serving his sentence in prison. 5 other Oplot members are still wanted. Case 6. Berkut soldiers who threw 2 Maidan protesters from the roof in front of the Lobanovsky Stadium was opened, with 2 victims in this case. A pre-trial investigation against 2 Kharkiv Berkut soldiers are being conducted, both released on bail. Case 7. There are 5 victims in this case. A pre-trial investigation is being held, with no suspects. Case 8. There are 156 victims in this case. 2 judges, 4 prosecutors and 7 investigators of district police departments are being heard with rendering illegal decisions and falsifying documents. Deputy head of Dniprovsky District Police Department, head of the department, his deputy and 4 investigators are referred to the court. Deputy head of the Kiev Investigation Department of the Chief Directorate of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine on wiretapping phone calls of protesters was referred to the court. 2 commanders of the Kiev Berkut battalion and 7 soldiers referred to the court. 14 investigators, 2 judges, 6 prosecutors, the head of the Kiev State Auto Inspection, his deputy, a commander of 3rd Battalion, deputy head of the Road Patrol Service of Kiev State Auto Inspection, and 20 inspectors were suspected of illegally withdrawing driving licenses. Case 9. 10 protesters killed, 500 people recognised as victims. 103 of them were seriously to moderately injured. A soldier of Kharkiv's Berkut, conditionally sentenced to 3 years for beating Sergei Didyuk from Ivano-Frankivsk. The case against Viktor Shapovalov, a second commander, Kharkiv Berkut, is being heard in court, currently in detention centre. 2 commanders of Kharkiv and Lviv Berkut battalions transferred to the court. 4 soldiers of the Kharkiv Berkut were suspected. 1 of them is in custody, accused of shooting at protesters with a shotgun. Case 10. 18 protesters killed and 200 victims in this case. The indictment against head of the Chief of Directorate of the Security Service of Ukraine in Kiev was transferred to the court. Also cases of 3 Tituchkas referred to the court. Case 11. 48 people killed, 157 wounded and 80 wounded by firearms. 470 people subpoenaed as prosecution witnesses and 100 as witnesses for the defence. There are 1,000 volumes in this case. Deputy Battalion Commander of Kyiv Berkut plus 5 other soldiers of the Kyiv Berkut transferred to the court. The case has been heard in court for the last 6 months. 18 soldiers of the Kyiv Berkut are wanted, and 7 top officials, including former Prime Minister of Ukraine Mykola Azarov and former President of Ukraine Viktor Yanukovych. Case 12. 13 law enforcement and internal troops officers were killed during the Maidan events. 900 were injured and almost 200 received gunshot wounds. There are no suspects in this case.